Says yes, Charlie. You missed all of the stories.
Yeah, that's all the story. So yeah,
Oh, that's sad.
there was a power outage. Basically, when I finished my reading, it was a power outage. It was perfectly timed, and electricity for the entire block basically went down for a few minutes.
Oh, good thing you're back.
Is Sheep gonna... Oh, he is here? He's just quiet?
I'm here. I was talking
So,
like a moment ago.
So
I didn't
now,
hear you.
before we completely break all sorts of immersion and go into all the meta questions I'm sure you will have, let me first ask, because we have done this sort of at the end of every book, it doesn't really make sense to make a sort of a recounting or an interest check or whatnot for book 6, as we kind of are at the end of the campaign now. I think we'll just take that in with the entirety of the campaign. So I suppose I should ask, what did you each think of book 6, and what did you each think of the campaign as a whole? Just let's go over the basics first. I'll have more questions, but Sheep, if you could please start.
Book 6, I think it was a bit odd in terms of pacing at times, because on the one hand it was like kingdom stuff and months of time, which was certainly very different from... Well, I guess it was somewhat similar to the Horn. Some things just felt like they took really long with little happening. Like, we kind of just ran a kingdom and then waited for something to happen, being Inferior finally invading. And how to put it coherently? For example, the research, that's something that Jonas and I talked about. It seemed very odd, because it seemed like a huge thing, but in the end we effectively managed to get like 3 things that didn't seem to end up mattering. All in all, I think book 6 was good, but the pacing was very strange at times.
You began the research very late, which made it hard because it took so long. Well, the whole campaign.
I mean, the whole campaign was... I need to pay attention to the words. On a scale from 1 to 10, it was fucking amazing. Let's put it that way. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Of course, there were like sessions where the pacing was weird and we didn't really enjoy it as much as we had other sessions. But I think every game has things like that. But as a whole, I enjoyed it thoroughly. The story was very compelling. It was complex at times. And the campaign really did let you make a badass villain. You could just do anything really, and most of us did. And we ended up having like all these completely different characters with different ambitions that kind of still had good reasons to work together, but still occasionally had not moral conflicts usually. Well, kind of moral conflicts, with like the different kind of factions slowly emerging, and I liked it. I can't point out one single reason why I think the campaign was good. I think it was just overall really enjoyable. Good work, Gary, as Grimmett puts it, and good work, Manikai. I think more the latter than the former, really.
All right. And Jake, what do you think of book 6, and what do you think of the campaign?
Book 6, I had some of the same concerns as Sheep. It just felt like like you said, like the pacing was really weird. And it was partially the whole, like, I don't know, we got into some things late and some things like came up and we never did anything about them, and they never like showed themselves, like the whole Terror and the Underdark thing, like we just ignored it and it never happened. And I don't know, overall it was good though. There were some really epic fights, which, I mean, I enjoyed them mostly because my character, that's like what his thing was, is he fought stuff, right? So, you know, I had a good time in those fights, like against the Angels. The final fight was really great because, you know, like it was the first, like, it was like the hardest fight. I felt like we were closer to losing there than we ever had been. But yeah, book 6 was good. Overall, I liked it, and then the campaign, overall, I really enjoyed it. Like, I guess I can just say, like, we've been playing for like 2.5 years, and if I wasn't enjoying myself, then I would have not played. I would have said, look, I can't do this. I'm not having fun. It was great though. I don't have a whole lot of experience. I basically only played Age of Darkness and then a little bit of like short half campaigns, things that we started and never finished. So this, I really enjoyed myself. It was great fun. Yeah, and thanks for running it, Manikai.
Yeah. All right. Dark, what do you have to say?
Well, for book 6, I had a rather different perspective on it. Because for book 6, unlike the rest of the campaign, it wasn't a case of we were expected to sit back and wait. We were actually expected in book 6 to be more proactive and try and. The expectation was we would go out and we're in charge now. We're the ones to make the decisions, and with some things we did. Going to the north, those were things we put together, various plans. We didn't get everything done. We could have done a lot more. In the end, though, we won, and I think in the end, I enjoyed it quite a bit. Also, because the entire time, as one of the major players who was trying to do like keep things secret, trying to keep things under the table, it was very much there was very much just a feeling in there of there was always something going on. There was always something a little bit more you could do, just this little bit extra you always missed, and that kind of gave a lot of excitement actually, which I don't think everyone felt it, but some players I don't think felt it.
Mm-hmm.
And the campaign as a whole, though, most campaigns I generally have quite periods of like long burnout where I just stop being interested for a while and then get back into it. Way of the Wicked is one of the few campaigns I didn't actually really feel that in, at most for one session. I was constantly in it for Way of the Wicked. There's always something going on that's always intrigued me. There's always just this little bit extra. I was always looking forward to the next session, which I don't know if that's part of the book or the way you storytell, Manikai, but I thought it was amazing.
Great. Tina?
I really liked the campaign. I really felt like just the whole ruling this kingdom. I really didn't give a damn about that kingdom. It could go to hell like it did. All I care. All I really wanted was to go and explore and find out what it was with the Underdark. But I was gonna send down people, but suddenly I find out that they're gonna the whole place is going to hell. I was like, I don't want to sacrifice my people to find nothing down there if they don't have the time for it. So I was gonna send an exploration down there, but suddenly you just can't you just can't start an expedition when someone plans to destroy the Talengard. But I feel like it was like the horn that it felt like we were kind of glued to this place. We can't leave the kingdom because if we do, then she's gonna come. And all I really wanted was to go and explore and find out what was around the place. And I wanted to burn down that prison we were at, and I felt that we were so forced to be at that damn kingdom castle. It was so annoying. I just wanted to leave it. I really didn't care who ruled it as long as they did what we said. So for all I cared, we could have let the council be as they were, and if they didn't do what we asked them, then we would remove them and put someone else there. But I really did like it. What I didn't like was it took a long time to start liking my organization. I really hated them because I felt like they couldn't do anything right.
I remember that. You were so angry at them.
Yeah.
Like, you suck, all of you.
Yeah. And
I think everyone had problems with theirs to start with, though.
I think my
fucking
organization
Crocodile City over
died
here.
like 3 times.
I remember,
Yeah.
I'll remind you, I rolled a 20, and then very quickly after I rolled a 1, everything fell apart again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and all I got was crocodiles for mine.
Well, I got I once rolled a 20, and I was close to get another organization to join mine, but then I rolled beneath 10, and then they were like, "Oh wait, no, we're not interested anyway." It was such a fuck you in the face, and I thought that was stupid. So I just had them do nothing for so long. They were just sitting around, and I was like, "I don't trust you to do shit." And later I found out, oh wait, the whole. Well, even if they were good, I don't know what to use them for, because they were just a very weak version of Cash. And that annoyed me. And then later I thought, you know what, you're all gonna become whores. So I guess that's kind of what I did with them. And then I had them protect this whorehouse. And then later I ended up taking over the mafias, which was kind of cool. I got more money than the damn what was it that he kept wanting, the arena. I earned more money than the freaking arena did from all these people that I took over, which was kind of cool, because then I could just say, oh, organization, do this, build this. I like that. And although I hated them so much, I didn't want any of them to become devils or little worms. But I really wish that we weren't so glued to the place when we have to protect something from someone, because, I didn't really care if she would come and suddenly know, oh, they're not here. The same with the horn. It feels shackled. But still, it was fun when we weren't doomed to control stuff. Also, Cash is just she weren't a good character to control stuff. She's just like, get someone else to do it. I'm busy. Which is why what she has done here. She has her council of liars, and they get the money home.
Yeah, I think something I wanted to mention but didn't is that my main gripe with Book 6 was basically the fact that Inferia and Belinda were on SS plot armor.
Yeah, what kind of shit is that?
It felt really strange that they were just gone and non-existent, and then they suddenly showed up. I really hope that Manikai would somehow find a reason to let us cooperate with Inferia against the Tyrant, but it just didn't work out. It would have been good to actually know what our enemy is like before meeting her, specifically Inferia, because Inferia was just kind of a dragon that showed up and died, similar to that other silver dragon we fought, although she put up more of a fight, okay? But there was still a lot of just character missing, because we just fought her in combat and nothing else really.
It's the same with the horn. We knew that this daemon was gonna come, and we had to do it. It's just like, well, we just sit here and wait, I guess, because someday something's gonna happen. And I felt the same with her.
But the thing is, in the horn, we made that happen. It took a long time, and it was really tedious work, but we made that happen.
Yeah,
whereas Inferia just kind of came at no particular important time whatsoever and just kind of showed up.
Yeah, but it felt like we had to be there and keep the night guard all the time, and it was so tedious with both. But it was kind of weird that this huge silver dragon just gone. No one have seen it.
Yeah, we'll get to some things like that in a moment, I'm sure. But we also have to give Jonas his chance to say.
Sure.
What do you think about Book 6 and the campaign?
Well, for Book 6, it was dizzying heights and abysmal lows. Really a roller coaster of a book. I enjoy the kingdom controlling part. I find that interesting. Although I did feel at some point that there wasn't that much. I would have hoped for a little bit more flexibility in the things we could do. At some point it felt a little bit like we got a list of things we could do, and we could only do things on this list. We couldn't really maneuver too far out of that. So that was a little bit unfortunate, I thought. But on a whole, I like running a kingdom. I think it's fun. I wished we had some more feedback on some of the stuff, but that's more of a personal problem that I have. I like my feedback. I like making informed decisions, and this was a bit more shooting from the hip and see what sticks. But what I did like about book 6 the most, I think, was that this was really the book where the different character factions really split off and started doing their own thing for real. Like everyone retreated back a little bit from the group stuff, kept their distance, and started plotting. You know,
Hola.
some built a huge keep. Some went into research of dragon souls. Some built an ethereal plane with like doom spires in them, and some took over the underworld, and no one really trusted the other. Like always sideward glances and a lot of like tension building up. So I thought that was interesting. The peak of the book for me was the tyrant, because I was so close to taking that offer, and I'm gonna ask some questions about that in a bit, I guess. Yeah, so that's what I think about book 6. I would agree. I would have liked some interaction with the princess and Tharia before we met them. I was hoping to like have again this uneasy alliance to fight the tyrant or something, because then we could have met them, actually spoken to them without actually getting into a fight. Because then we were gotten to know them a bit. So I was really hoping for them to take that offer, honestly. The campaign as a whole, it's amazing. It's an amazing campaign. It kept my attention almost all the way through. There were a few weeks when I was like, I don't really feel it this week. But it was few and far between. I was almost always excited to play more. And it kept going. Like it was always going. Something was almost always happening. And it felt like we were heading to either complete and utter failure or magnificent triumph, like all the time. And that's cool. I think it is probably it's one of the few campaigns I have played that has gotten to its proper end. It is the only campaign I've ever played that has gotten from 1 to 20. So I can scratch that off my bucket list, basically. All in all, I give it 5 stars. You should, if you haven't played it and you haven't watched all of this, then you should definitely play it for yourself.
Should DM it.
Yes, you should you can DM
If
it.
you've just now tuned in, you should play it.
Yeah, that's right.
Otherwise, you've got all the spoilers.
That's right.
I will say that before I forget, I would like to add amazing NPCs. They were so funny.
An amazing campaign. Good work, Malachi, and boy, has it been a lot of work for you, I think. I know.
Yeah.
And I think I can speak for all of us when we say that we appreciate it a whole lot, and yeah, thanks, Malachi, basically.
Mm.
It has been a hell of a ride in every sense of the word. And yeah.
All right then. Then it's my turn. First of all, now you've all said thank you, Manic. I'll say thank you, players, all of you, because it would. I mean, you could have been assholes and just quit halfway through or not taking the game seriously. It takes a lot of effort and will to keep 6 people together every single week. Well, almost every single week for 2 years. That's a lot of dedication, especially on a Friday night. But I think we've all been flexible, and although we've had some sort of social ups and downs, I think everything has, in the large, just been fine. There certainly has been tension, which has been sort of retroactively sort of looking back on. I think it's been good in general to have that in there. Book 6, I can certainly see what you mean. I think if I had to run it again, I would add some subsystems, the same with the horn, to keep the players probably going places and probably more motivated. Perhaps giving everyone a master plan, so to speak, a list of objectives to complete to get something big that they really want. That would somehow incorporate the kingdom. This is shown as a series. Dark seems to be one of the people who enjoyed this book the most because he had one of these lists of objectives that he needed to conquer the North, he needed to defeat the Princess Belinda, he needed to take over the Cabriar. And these things sort of drove him in the direction. Perhaps a master plan could have been made for Chiron Telemundus to split themselves a list of known objectives, or at least a list of sub-objectives that could later be fleshed out as they were discovered or researched. Something like that, I think, would make it more engaging for all players, or something, certainly a change I would suggest to anyone wanting to run it further. The same with the horn, most likely making side objectives or require the ritual to require some rare reagents that could only be found in certain parts of the Cabriar, forcing the players to, one, allow their static defenses to take the adventurer blows once in a while, as the adventurers were horribly obliterated by the players, and two, to get them a little out of the house, so they couldn't just sit on their behind waiting for a little over a year. As you know, I think that would have been a good change, although maybe stressing you out a little bit. For the campaign as a whole, I enjoyed it. I, of course, read it before playing it entirely, so I knew everything. Not how things were going to end up. Where we are now is a story that's really been made by you in the framework of the campaign more than anything. And I must say, though, that many of the great moments I had been looking forward to turned out to be awesome. So that's wonderful. I had quite a few moments when I read the books. I was like, this is going to be great. In a year and a half, this is going to be an awesome moment. And those things are really one of the things that keep you motivated as a DM, at least me, looking forward in such a book, saying that I really look forward to getting to this place, and I want to make it great. And so I worked hard to make it so. And I hope I have succeeded with many of them.
You definitely made amazing NPCs. I think none of us will ever forget Desider on the table, and how happy he was, just the happiest devil. In
I say
Telegraph.
Desider, Theodora, and the Fire Axe.
The devils were played as, I think, both in their descriptions in the book and as for my own design, to make them more than just the summoned sort of nameless villains. If there's something that has a stereotype, you have to work sort of twice as hard to give them character in some way. Nappers, of course, being the least sort of fleshed out character, as you didn't really interact much with him, and he was more this distant person. This, I think, is also good, and this is something I chose to do, as having him constantly look over your shoulder. It's not really something characters of this level should have. They are left to their own devices, and they have to do things themselves because they're very big and very important. And they don't want to have a nanny hanging over them.
No, but
it sounds like we all enjoyed that, and I don't know if I can get away with asking any more feedback questions, as it seems like that might be easier done actually, as you guys asking me campaign questions. I can try to explain what I would have done or why I did certain things the way I did them.
I want to ask you something in regards to that.
Let's try to keep it ordered at least. Yeah.
Okay.
And focus. You guys ask a question, and we'll focus on working through that question from all of our different perspectives before moving on to the next one. It can be hard, but let's try.
My question is a simple one because it's only directed at you, really, Menekai. You've mentioned quite a few times that you had certain moments that you really looked forward to and that ended up doing well. Which of those moments do you think turned out the best?
Well, I think it's going to be very obvious. The meeting of Trigamon was certainly a moment I looked forward to a lot. It was going to be great. This magnificent giant dragon in all his glory. Amazing artwork, I must say. It's really inspired me a lot. But that I knew was going to be great. I said early on that book 4 was probably one of my favorites because that is a book that has a lot of these amazing things. Another one was the meeting with Desita. Both the first one and the one after the destruction of Erymanthus. That one could have been done a little better, but I really enjoyed his dapper way of walking in while doing a slow clap to watch the battle broken player characters. That was very in his character and something that really shaped his personality. Even earlier than that in the campaign, as his personality have to be consistent with that. Those are at least 2 moments I distinctly remember thinking this is gonna be awesome. That I think turned out to be just what I imagined it to be.
Okay, then as a sorry, Ginny, go ahead.
I have a quick question. What happened to Halvis?
Could we try to work through this first?
Sorry, yeah,
And
okay.
then we'll get to more.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a follow-up question to that then. Which moment do you think turned out awesome that you did not expect beforehand?
Oh, I have to remember then. I think something that I didn't expect to be that great was the defeat of the Bellantine garrison all the way back.
That was like the
Everything
most
stacked against
amazing
you.
thing.
You had been discovered. It was going to be a brutal defeat. You reeling, you having to figure out a new plan for how you were going to sort of shackle some sort of victory together. And yet you came out of it almost unharmed. Brand victory, simple, blind, insane luck on your side. Twisted by a cruel twist of fate against these good guys. Blessing of Asmodeus, both in and out of game. Turning this horrible setup defeat into an amazing victory, clearing almost all of your enemies out in a single blow. That, I think, was something that I did not expect to be great. I didn't read in the book as, well, they'll fight the garrison. It'll be fun to have a little bit of sneaking around and such. But it turned out to be a victory in a blast. That I did not expect.
It is still, that particular fight is still one of the best in the entire campaign we've had, I think, because it was just so... It was such desperation from us, and us basically being like, alright, well, that's a paladin, he has done the smite, oh god, that's horrible, but he fell down on the ground. Well, and then Karen walks up with an axe, like, I hit him out of desperation, and then he just fucking crits and just murders him. And, yeah.
Then we looked at the cleric as a whole.
Another
moment was the bunyips. I did not expect them to be. I like the art of them, this big fat seal. But I did not expect them to be such a harrowing encounter. And so the fact that we still remember that single encounter to this day, I think shows the power of randomness and emergent storytelling.
We met them once. Only once we faced bunyips in one session, and it's I would never forget it. It will always be
Seal Isle.
I think I was more scared of the bunyips than I was of Inferia.
Yeah, that is how. Yeah, it is true though.
Big monsters from the deep when you're on a boat that's tipping awfully much, unable to do anything.
Yeah, it may be a big fat seal, but it has a freaking lion's mouth.
Yes.
Malorn points out now those are hell bunyips.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, in a sea of blood.
Just saying, that's part of your army, Jake.
Yeah. They hop menacingly towards you across the ground.
Yeah, I could ask you guys the same. Are there any? Well, not really the same, but I think you can agree that these were great moments at least. Yeah.
I think we remember that guy with the axe on the boat.
Yeah.
Yes.
How much
Odenkirk.
how much we feared him.
Mm-hmm.
We saw him in battle. He was really scary.
Yeah.
Reading about other people, there are, I think, 2 groups I've read about who were wiped completely in that fight.
Mm-hmm.
And you ended him without too much issue.
Still, he was scary.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like he was better portrayed than Anfaria. And I don't even remember the prince's name.
Perhaps then transitioning from this
Belinda.
question into another one, the
Belinda.
issue with Antharia and Belinda. It is true that I would have certainly liked them to be more visible. The story behind it is that when Belinda discovers her power, she realizes she's not powerful enough to deal with this. She travels to meet her mother, where she joins up with him, the Inquisitor. Runs away from the capital, taking the regalia and the treasury with him, knowing that after the king has been killed, the army defeated, that the princess will need allies, and so they go and on their way they summon a soul of Mithra, and they then go to the World Tree to recover to gain the aid of a Titan to lead her army. After which they begin to adventure, leveling up Belinda as well as gathering mercenary and adventurer allies.
They basically did what we did.
I like to imagine having this adventurer party of the half dragon sorceress, the solar angel, the 20th level epic inquisitor, and the great worm silver dragon entering into Sandpoint. And hearing about local church troubles, church burnt down.
How
Goblins,
could
you
no
say?
one have noticed that?
Because they were wearing the Veil of Mithra, an item designed specifically that the Solar brought that would make it impossible for anyone without a pure heart and pure thoughts to notice them. As
How do you
such,
not notice,
in
like,
no
a
one
huge
that
silver
would ever
dragon?
tell the player characters
Well, you can
would be
transform
able
yourself.
to.
That's
And
clutter.
as they weren't on telling God at all, they certainly exited the story a whole lot. I think, again, talking about, for example, the master plan, giving the players something else to focus on would be good. And although the idea of bringing them back for the facing the tyrant, which was an awesome one, I simply could not justify a way for them to actually know that what was going on. And well, with only a week to retcon things, I didn't think I could produce something that would be satisfying with that material. Although if I had to run it again, I think I would probably make some more contact, because I do agree that it's kind of like a ghost.
You want, as an evil maniac, you want to mockingly laugh at the good guys, stuff
We
like
want to
that.
have a monologue.
Yes.
Yes.
You
That's
think
what evil
that you have
people
stopped me,
do.
but... And then 2 hours.
The evil guy has to stand with the gun and point it at James Bond and then talk before killing him. That's just how we do.
I expect you to
Happen
die,
happens.
Antharia.
Halthus is on the Eromanthus Isle, living from sea slugs and accompanying the undead kraken.
Oh,
Perhaps sometimes talking to the many travelers and seafarers that swim to the island in desperation after the kraken has eaten their ship, giving them a very slow but much conversation as they die.
well, I'm happy that he is happy.
If Zacharias had not turned the island of Romantis into Squid Isle, Karen would have probably taken it, but now it's like you.
Oh, and if Karen ever looked in the library again, he will see that all the books are gone.
Of course, yeah.
What?
Hmm.
Half is actually pretty rich because Azurius left his last 9k of money in the vault on Eramanthus Isle.
Now if only can figure out the riddle.
Yes, his
It's only a DC 40 perception check to find the door.
adamantine scalpels and such.
Oh yeah, we gave him that.
Do you have more questions? Because I'm ready to answer them all.
I have
Yes.
Spoilers be damned.
I have
We'll
questions.
know everything.
I have questions as well because I have.
Let's take one from Tina then. She's the-
You teased me about it this morning, about Grumble Jack. I want to hear his comments through the game if we had brought him.
Yes, Book 7 has pages and pages of text dedicated to everybody's favorite NPC, Grumble Jack, and how they, of course, are going to bring him everywhere. You never did, so you never learned all his weird quirks and weird stories that are told through him. And honestly, after the obvious him just being left alone at the at a location far away from anything, I haven't really looked at them too much. So I can't really tell you which ones are the greatest and which ones are not.
Damn you, Jake!
Sorry.
But he certainly is the main NPC, and he certainly did not get the love that he always wanted.
I mean, I think one of the
something
reasons was that we simply didn't want cohorts or anything other than PCs in combat. So there was never a reason to actually bring him.
If I had him from the beginning of if I had this book 7 from the beginning of the campaign, I think I would have included him more, just sort of as a naturally occurring thing, have him in there. But the transition proved too great, and I think he only got to say a couple of lines from his.
I remember him saying that he was thirsty when it came to the horn, and we gave him demon water.
I remember him saying to Timian, "Oh, now I get your joke."
For example, after the players have given Grumble Jack a new magical sword, likely this could happen in Book 4 in Davern as he wins his bet. He takes a moment and assesses his new weapon. He feels the weapon's weight. His eyes gleam with anticipation. "Pretty," says Grumble Jack. And with that, Grumble Jack suddenly lunges out, and with the speed of a cobra, and grabs one of the countless goblins that scramble through the ruins of Davrin, scavenging for trinkets of food. The goblin squeals angrily, but can do little to resist the ogre's iron grip. Grumble Jack throws the goblin in the air as effortlessly as tossing a child's toy. The goblin flies up, still squirming and crying, and then reaching to the top of its arc, begins to plummet back to the earth. The ogre sizes up his target, carefully aims, and then with a single swipe of his new prized weapon, neatly cuts the goblin in twine. Gory goblin bits splutter the ground nearby. Grumble Jack smiles. "Very pretty," says the ogre with a wicked smile.
Man, I'm so bummed we didn't have Grumble Jack for us now.
What did he say about Chargammon? Tease me about that.
I would have to find it.
You tease me about it.
Let's see here. They're all named funny little things. Grumble Jack versus Gaston Hall. Grumble Jack roasts a great eagle. Grumble Jack's revenge. Grumble Jack, Lord of all ogres. There certainly are. Lots here. At some point, he is likely to meet Jerathon Nightsbane. Jerathon and Grumble Jack do not get along, as this brief scene illustrates. "So now we travel with Big Lizard, eh?" says Grumble Jack with a laugh. "Lizard," hisses the dragon. "Who is this oaf of an ogre that dares speak to me? I am Jerathon Nightsbane, son of Jargammon the Great. If you dare speak again, I will bathe you in an acid so strong that your bones will melt." "Who am I? I, Grumble Jack, slayer of lots of things. Eater of even more things and... The ogre pauses, grasping for an even more impressive title. Suddenly, Grumble Jack's eyes light up. "Lord of all ogres." Jerathon looks dubious. "You, Lord of all ogres?" "Yep, ask anyone. Grumble Jack, big, high, muskety muck." From that moment forward, Grumble Jack always introduces himself to the new people as Grumble Jack, Lord of all ogres.
I think it says a lot about Jerathon's character that he just took that sentence, that statement at face value, basically. It's like, "You are the Lord of all ogres?" What?
He was never very smart.
And we have Grumble Jack's revenge. At some point, when you fight Theodora, and the Handmaiden Devil is defeated, at last, Grumble Jack gets to keep his promise. He smiles at the fallen, helpless devil. "What did you call Grumble Jack when we first meet?" "Oh yes, you call Grumble Jack pet." He smiles a wicked, toothy grin. "Grumble Jack not pet. Grumble Jack fearsome monster." And without any more ceremony than that, Grumble Jack bites the head off of Theodora. He tosses the Handmaiden Devil aside and chews the skull down to bone meal in a few powerful crunches. The Devil Maiden withers, fades, and soon only dust remains.
He would have killed Theodora?
He would have killed Theodora.
Oh,
Oh my
I needed her.
god! That is pretty cool.
There are
So yes.
also here Grumble Jack's Empire.
Do
Is it
tell.
It is making Duke Grumble Jack.
And since I could have used, but we didn't really have time for it, is Grumble Jack's death scene. Fields of Templin. Oof.
Tell us.
Which one? You get to pick one of them. Grumble Jack's Empire or Grumble Jack's death scene.
I don't know
only
the
one?
Empire. I don't want to hear about the death scene.
We will all
Right.
start crying if we hear about the death.
What? Why?
Yeah.
Why only one?
Let's see here.
Well, you're going
Yeah,
to send
but
us all the
we-
books later, right?
Yeah, yeah, sure, if you want them. After the PCs become rulers of Mathrin and take over Talingard, Grumble Jack occupies one of the abandoned estates in the Golden Bough and makes it into his own personal ogre pleasure palace. If Carlotte, Bone Grinder, is still alive, she's there as well, along with a small.
Who is Carlotte Bonegrinder?
It is, I believe, one of the ogres that you could have met in Davrin. Along with a small troop of ogres who escaped the onslaught of the Battle of Brandleburn Fields. For his part, the mayor of Mathrin, likely Hubert Rowan, recognized that Grumble is clearly high held in esteem by the current rulers, and the ogre could be phenomenally dangerous to the people. So the mayor has wagons of food and drink delivered to the estate frequently. The result is that the estate becomes Grumble Jack's dominion. The ogre does little but feast and frolic. Soon, Carlotte is pregnant and gives birth to a great number of half-fiend ogre whelps, who soon enough are tearing up the palace. The other ogres are a little better behaved, though Grumble Jack is smart enough to see that their mayhem is largely confined to the estate's grounds. Grumble Jack is well pleased with his little empire, and soon the place becomes a glorious wreck. Grumble Jack will still help the PCs, of course, as required. If they need help with the minions or march to war, Grumble Jack is only too happy to leave his so-called empire. If asked, he says this. Grumble Jack grunts at your request for a moment, seems to slip almost into reverie. Grumble Jack miss our days of merry murder. Those days, so much simpler. So tell me, those days are here again? Hopefully, the PC answer yes, or something similar. Grumble Jack smiles in a big toothy grin. Then Grumble Jack ready to march with friends all the way to hell and back. Besides, family life great. Grumble Jack barely ducks enough in the last minute to dodge a plate thrown at his head by one of the Countess ogre whelps infesting his estate. But Grumble Jack ready for a break. Quickly, the ogre gathers his armor and weapons. Carlotte Bone Grinder gives Grumble Jack an affectionate parting growl and tries one last time to knife her beloved. Grumble Jack turns aside the blow easily and gives her a loving goodbye kiss. Grumble Jack marches out of the estate, ready to return to the life of adventure.
Damn it. Why didn't we have Grumble Jack more? This is awesome stuff right here.
Yes.
It is.
If the book had been there from the beginning, then this would certainly have been more
Yeah,
involved.
because if I remember, the cover for book 7 is a Hydra with being wrestled by Grumble Jack.
Yes,
I
Grumble Jack
think
is
Grumble
wrestling
Jack
back.
is like whacking it on the head with a mace.
So I that's probably
It's the comic relief.
that's probably the greatest single content we actually missed. Then I would guess. I don't know for sure, of course, but
Yes,
guess.
Book 7 has a lot of good content. It, for example, has a chapter called Dark Beginnings, which is a better introduction to the players, giving them a lot of information of what did they see when they were dragged into to Brandiskar. What did they notice? Each player being given some special information that they can use to sort of when they need to escape, they're a little better informed about where to go and what to do. As that seems to be one of the hardest part of the campaign. There were also the adventures of Aldencross outside of Bellantine. The city mapped out and with special location, events, and little mini-quests that could be done in your staying over there with, for example, more interesting intrigue that you only experienced a little bit of taking care of Old Mutt.
What about... you said something more about Grumble Jack. He would have had a final form.
Yes, Grumble Jack as well, if allowed to come all the way and stay in the royal palace or in the capital, would have had dreams that could have revealed to you information about, for example, the Tyrant plan. These dreams would also have culminated in Grumble Jack becoming his final form, so to speak, gaining more power than he already had. This is so that he can help you in the final battle, which was not really relevant to you.
What would his final form look like?
Not that different. He has a big black armor and such. Don't think I have a picture of it exported. He is still recognizable as Grumble Jack, but he's bigger and has a more badass weapon and horns and scales and stuff.
All right. So, I have a more large-scale question.
All right.
How would the campaign have ended or turned if me and Sheep would have sided with the Tyrant? If we took the Tyrant option.
Yes. If you took the Tyrant option, just the two of you, then we would probably have had a talk, and you might have become non-play characters as the majority of the other players were still on the other side. If, for example, however, the majority of players had been with the Tyrant, then he would certainly have given you each an undead form that was pleasing to you. Not really too much could be done research-wise, as there were very important problems. Belinda would soon arrive, and setting up a war for her that she couldn't win was certainly something that needed to be done. The shadow stuff could not envelop the whole place, and, if she got set up on the island, she might be able to stop you. You would have to fight her in the final battle, and after that, Hell would see its chance to strike. Nabarus and his advisors would also fight. You would, of course, be stronger, as you would now have undead powers. But as such, the battle would have been elongated. At the end, you would get the ending called "Not even the devil can be my master," meaning that you are pendant and free. Defeating Hell and breaking your contract
Independent.
by force. Yeah.
Yeah.
The devil was my early master, though.
Silence
Yes,
you.
that is certainly the ending that was had.
How many different endings were there?
As I had envisioned it here, 3. There is join with the Tyrant and become, slay the devils and become... You don't have to join the Tyrant to slay the devils, by the way. You can certainly slay them all. But if you actually manage to do that sort of thing, when he comes and talks to you, then you can certainly kill him. You can also choose to let Hell win and just make not form the pillars and make Tellingat into an infernal kingdom. I guess those are 2 also distinct ways to do things. And you can of course lose, where Tellingat gets restored. In that way, the epilogue becomes what legacy have you left? How are you remembered? As you would then have a little tidbit about how Tellingat began to prosper under the power of Belinda.
So, would have been possible to lose and still win by, for example, going for a redemption route near the end?
If you could be redeemed. The campaign assumes that the PCs are damned beyond redemption.
Okay.
But if you had a character that was uniquely in a position to do so, then yes, surely. I mean, that's really
like Marcus, for example.
If he wasn't,
but he was kind of a
Jake
vampire.
had come to me and said, it would be cool if Marcus, I think there are grounds for Marcus turning over if this happens, and that had happened, then I could certainly see that happening. Then he would have stopped being a player character. He would probably have controlled one of the cohorts at a lower power level, of course, than the PCs, but still got to participate in the fight, and his character would then have been turned against you, hoping to stop you. This is actually kind of encouraged in the victory of the good, as the darkness epilogue starts with betrayed. As your army turns against you, seeing the mounting odds, as your people betray you left and right and flee and abandon you, and as hell has not given you enough aid to push through with this, Asmodeus' blessing only counting for so much. Whereas Navarus, where's hell, where's Chargamon, where's all the people who you're fighting for, who just sit back and are lousy right now. Yeah, there's a whole blurb for it. For the epilogues, of course. Yeah.
It's interesting.
I kind of.
Sorry, Ginny, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Sheep.
Yeah, I would just pose my next question then. What happened to, according to the book, what basically happened to Chargamon after he lost to Belinda and Haviland?
In the book, he was killed by one meteor swarm.
Okay.
I thought that was really dumb. The meteor swarm is
does
actually
sound
pretty
really
shitty.
dumb.
And beyond that, it is a little inconsistent, as the book determines that Chargamon actually has a contingency in place, that whenever he would have died, it teleports him into a hidden cave underwater, where he then can drink a lot of potions to recover.
I like he has a stack of potions.
That is stupid. How would he be killed by that if...
I mean, I don't think he could, like, physically, mechanically die
I
to a
think
single
it
meteor.
was simply a caveat to get him out of the way.
Was Chargamon statted?
No, he was specifically said that if they fight him, you can just use that of a put like a standard great worm. There was a stat block, but it's just a standard great worm.
Oh,
with
sure.
black. I of course made
Was there
one. But, you know.
was there ever a hoard for us to find in Chargamon's throne? Could we have
There was a
plundered
horde,
his riches?
but it was not very big actually. As the story goes, when Chargamon is defeated, there is a river dragon that is ready to snatch in, who has located a secret way into his place, and who knows that as soon as he's defeated, it is going to snatch his hoard and flee away with it. It never really got the
smash and
chance
grab.
here, but it certainly would have liked to. Yes, preventing the players from getting the money that such a dragon would generally have, and enraging them beyond hell. This is the shitty treasure that's left, and you see a little like a scale from a river drake, and you hate it forever.
River Dragon was here.
He like
Personally, I might
poops
have
on the
put up
carpet
a,
and goes away.
Well, a message with someone had a cryo hydra here, and took all the money. But yeah, I did not see you. You should have fought Chargamon, and well, I think I presented it in a way that showed his power much better than a stat block.
How...
If you stat it, they will kill it. And if you show them the stats, they know they can.
Mhm.
Well, at least they want to try.
Oh yeah.
What happened to our Hydra?
Oh yes.
It got animal talked, and then magically charmed to come with her out into the forest and became her loving cohort.
And what happened to Track?
He was out there, did his thing, and ended up dying. Can't
Ah.
survive it there.
A fitting end.
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned.
Track couldn't survive.
How?
Middle of the Cabra, you fucked.
What was
Eventually
the
something gets you.
what was the look of the Duke of Gastenhall's face when he realized that all of his attempts to outmaneuver us was basically
No! Oh, it's all failed! And then begging and crying as he slowly turned into a big, fat maggot.
yes.
Humbly swallowed in Calgary.
So was it his whole? Had he anything to do with the whole Desider dying, and our king suddenly becoming good?
No, nothing.
Was there anything we could have done to stop that happening?
Not have made Haveling king.
Told you it was a bad idea.
He was a glorious king, the best choice, except that's the
Yeah, he had a spark of goodness left. What would have happened if we put cousin
He would have been
Barca?
absolutely prick, completely uncontrollable and terrible at everything he did, taking the slightest thing, like slightest provocation and insult, using military force against anyone and everything, sending his errand boys to deal with little tiny rebellions that would eventually flame out and become huge. If he was not removed at some point before the end, Belinda would have not even had to land for this island to go up in flames against him. He was the worst choice you could have made.
So good work on Asurius for getting him in a cupboard.
He was a complete asshole as well. And I
Well,
You can see
I
see why I thought you didn't want
no
him.
relation in nature. No, he was completely unrooted with his own status.
I was this close of actually strangling him with Zacharias. You know, it's just.
And if he had been king, he would have disregarded you and sent you to deal with his problems all the time until you basically dealt with him, or you took it.
So
Yeah.
So you could see why I thought you were going to kill him, right?
Oh yeah.
So what about the other Barker? The one Cash talked to and we had on the gun?
He would have made a bad king. He didn't think he had the chance to become one, and so he would have basically done what he could. He is very one-sided in his business, very, very, very one-sided politics, much in strengthening his old sort of team. He would have been have been sort of the middle way. He'd been good at what he does, not as good as Haley, not as full of initiative, and certainly not gathered the same kind of liking from the sort of newer nobility or the Mithrin people, which is most people. He would, however, have been very much done what you asked him to do, because he would have known he had no other choice.
You should have chosen him instead of.
I have a good question. Did the book consider the possibility of Gerafon being a member of the council, or let alone being king?
No.
Oh.
Garethon was, as written, he's very, very haughty and very honorable and sort of, but after he's laid low, the PCs actually can force him to become a mount for one of them, which he hates, but is too afraid of Chargamon to. Even if Chargamon is dead, he will not believe you for any ever, and so he feel his 100-year duty.
I think that's a picture of the fourth book, right?
Yeah.
But can someone find it? Kind of want to see it. On what? I can't see stream on this laptop.
Let's see.
But
I have a question, which is something I've been curious about for quite a long time.
This is a Chargamon question, real quick.
Sure, you can go for it.
But I felt that if we didn't have Chiron, who had Gerafon's brother inside of him, how would we even make them? Why would they help us?
Who?
Chargamon and Gerafon.
Gerethon, because you saved him, and he was because he would run away from you, and then Chargamon would force him to do so. Why would Chargamon help you? Because he wanted to. To some degree, Chargamon has been sitting down there, and it's true that these people have been bored. He was playing important, but yeah, smashing a Capitol building, eating a princess, showing terror in the hearts of all, is kind of inside his portfolio, and so when you asked him, he wanted to do it. He just wanted to make sure that you didn't think that you could just punitively come and ask him for anything ever. Enjoying your terror and such.
Silly dragon. So here's a question for a bit in the past, Malachi. Oh, someone is disconnected. Hello?
Sheep is having problems.
I'm sure he doesn't care about the questions anyway.
He was actually asking a question, but no one could hear him.
Oh. Okay.
Except me.
Well, you can ask it for him and relate the answer.
Hello?
There we go.
Hello, sheep.
Okay,
You had a question?
I did.
I forgot it.
I think what I meant to say was I think Jagan also did the whole giving us Gerafon thing, not to really reward us, but more as a ultimate, punishment for Gerafon rather.
Yeah. Chargamon loves his children, but he shows it as a sort of a tiger mom almost. It's tough love. Although if you had killed Gerethon, he would certainly you have earned his eternal enmity, which doesn't mean a lot because he would have been killed off in order to free you from it, so that you would not have had to deal with that eternal enmity.
Melorn really wants to know about Vestromo.
All right, Nostromo. Well, we can do that. Nostromo, like, what about him?
He just wants to know what happened with the Stromo.
What
what's
was
going
his
on.
end game, basically?
He
What was
wanted
his,
the
like, end game plan?
chalice that he needed so he could restore himself to be a complete, utter, powerful, ancient vampire. And then he wanted Gaston Hall to do awesome. He had plenty of time, and he was in a very good position. He wanted to basically look at these new people, giving them a chance to, well, expand his family personally. Seeding in the most powerful group of individuals in the whole kingdom is a very, very good idea. And then simply let them do the work while he sits back and is an old vampire who has seen civil wars and such rise and fall. Gaston Hall, of course, prevails. In the end, he probably got very angry and probably had to be slain by devils in hell. Marcus claiming whatever cup he had.
What did the chalice do?
It granted him some bonuses after you had been drinking on it every week or every day, I think, for a year. You'd become a strong vampire, and you'd be able to make more spawn than normal.
Oh. Huh.
Because he needed more slaves to order around.
Yeah.
So Malachi.
Was I cooler than him?
Yeah, of course. At this
Awesome.
point.
Good. That's all I care about. Fuck him.
Here's something that nagged at me a long time ago, but we never got an answer to, which you kind of teased a little bit. At the end of book 2, go all the way back to the Horn. Farhold, there was that little island which you teased at that we never visited.
Oh yeah,
never ever wanted to visit. You hated that island.
We didn't know
care about it.
I didn't consider the island at all, and I got really annoyed that we
No
never
reason
found
to
it.
go there. We just saw the name
Yes,
on the map
I
and
would
were
have.
like,
I would probably have given you a reason to go there. It is a further adventuring option, and it is the place of a dead druid who was buried there back in the Iranian times, holding powerful druidic and undead artifacts and such. I personally would have linked it into the main story, the meta story as such, and had it been linked to the shadows of the deep and of the been a burrow of a priest of the first god, the god of telling God, whom the ancient Death Titans served.
So maybe you can elaborate a bit on that, because you explained some of it to me when we were talking about Zacharias' epilogue.
Yes.
So tell us about the
meta
underground
story, what could have been.
Yes.
In the early part of the story, I considered the possibility of advancing this into the then newly released mythic rules once we reached level 20, basically expanding it on, moving on from this point into greater glories. And so whatever plans I made were made not knowing if it was something we would want to keep that possibility in place and keep the possibilities open. As such, the meta story of Telling-God is the Telling-God is actually the mound of a tomb, a burrow, so to speak, of what appears, what is a ancient dead god. This god, has had its tomb, and its tomb was guarded by eldritch horrors and the Death Titans. One of these eventually escaped up, found a people willing to serve it, sort of in exchange for power. These people, the Irene, then destroyed the dwarves, and eventually the Death Titan was slain by human invasion. This would have been a hint on one of these things, and this was certainly also what the tyrant found when he ventured down below the ground. He found the remnants of a dead god and the texts that remained from this god's time, made by the Titans of Death, which allowed him to, be indestructible for one, and gain him great magical power for another. And Thoria, as much as she liked protecting Telling-God, was also the guardian of this secret and tried to keep it hidden and keep anyone from venturing down, the Ice Elves working with her to some regard in order to do this. There are tombs away down into the heart of the island, guarded by the ancient sort of order devoted to, no matter what, always protect that way down. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where Zacharias went down to claim more power, basically.
So when did you decide that we weren't going to continue in Mythic?
Well, I think we all decided that sort of when we began to get into these sorts of things. You've all worked through. I've given you some hints for your epilogues. For example, the Trigamon's plan to create an heir for a new servant of Tiamat, which were certainly early plans. That's what he's been doing all this time. That's why he hasn't been in contact with you more. He's been killing people from the red. This was enhanced, of course, when she came to me and said, "I think the dragon inside of me is a different one than me." Which I think, well, great. Let's put him into the world. He's black, right?
Yeah, that was a very fortunate decision. I think even like making the decision to make Telemonus a black dragon also came from me, and that just worked out
Yes,
perfectly.
it did. It worked out perfectly. Blue would have been awkward. I suggested black.
How about a copper dragon?
Copper dragon.
But I hope I managed to root things into the campaign.
Oh yeah,
Oh yes.
absolutely.
What about the Underdark? What was it about it?
Yes, the Underdark, there certainly was a drow civilization. However, they, although mostly characteristic by dwarves, sought power too great and too ancient. And so they awakened the two eldritch horrors who had a chance of actually fighting the two Shoggoths and all of their children, who ravaged their city, destroyed them, and followed them up to consume more and more flesh, culminating in reaching the surface and the Titan, who gave them a nice nesting lair where they could fornicate, producing more of themselves for a long time. The shadow stuff that had covered the Underdark spilling out and up. That was why the drow had fled. They fled the shadow stuff. And formless darkness that, if you touched it, would cast empowered destruction on you every single second. Well, every third second, I suppose. Not something that many people can live in.
As a player, I can vow destruction is not nice.
Power destruction is not nice. I think it's even heightened in power destruction.
Was there ever a way to find out more about where Cash came from? Or would it have...
Cash could have reached down there, and she would have found the ruins and the destruction of it, yes. That there once was a drow civilization, which would then have led her into the meta-plot of the shadow stuff, of the Shoggoths, and foreshadowed what the Tyrant found and why he was doing what he was doing. Perhaps allowing the players to prepare more for the eventuality. I also had played with the thought of the undead invasion of Talingard, but since we were kind of reaching the end of the campaign and had just done the invasion of the north, I decided against it and simply sort of hand-waved it a little bit, as I didn't want to bog down things with like another military campaign right after we had just finished one.
Oh, I really wanted to go to the Underdark.
I have a question.
Well, it was not really a priority in the game time as it happened.
No.
Certainly was a possibility, although it would have been perhaps something Cash could have done with her organization.
Well, I
Organized
wanted to, but
trip.
I didn't. Every time I wanted to do something, some of you needed my organization, or suddenly I find out that Talingard is going to be thrown to hell. And why would I send my people down there to die then?
Yeah, but now you have the answers.
Well, I would rather had it the other way.
So does this mean I put a dead god in the pill?
No,
No, he's too far down. You simply began to flood the whole place.
you freed him up so I could get to him.
Yeah.
So in a way, I did you a favor.
Oh yes.
You cut off the crust on the wound that was cut in the world.
Well, you're welcome, Zacharias.
Oh, not at all. It's a pleasure working with you.
Yes, the tyrant going down there once.
So you're going to kill the gods, and I'm going to take over the land. I see how it's going to work.
It's a deal, I think.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
What about the Hadean signet, that ring? What was that all
Yes.
about?
It certainly had great, enormous power. The most powerful item I think you could ever have found. You're combining many awesome powers into it. However, if you had fulfilled all of its requests, it would have then transformed itself into a one of these the original Death Titan who stood the land of Talingard. He would have taken control of the Irenaeans, and he would have led his death crusade on all of you to smash you into pieces. It was a very powerful encounter, but of course he was alone, so you would have probably been able to take him on. and then you probably wouldn't have used the ring again. But until that point, and if you did not do the final one of the ring's requests, it had 3, I believe, 3 big sacrifices it needed to drink the blood and power of. If you had just done 2 of them and been able to hold your lust for more power, even as it pleaded and promised, then you would have had a truly powerful item in your hands. That wanted to kill God.
I think at the moment it's still like locked into the vaults of Zacharias.
Forever.
Yeah,
Never
as
taken
deep down as I could possibly put it, because I got it back from Cash, and Cash was like, you probably shouldn't have anyone touch that thing, and it's like, all right.
As
fair enough.
Vodius was contacted, he certainly thought it was a bad idea to mess with it. Because, Death Titans are not really what Talent God needs more of.
Why did this is a question to, I guess, both Manikai, Dark, and Jake. Why did you do the thing with Nabris?
Why?
Yeah.
Because Hell was our only master.
You're lagging so much, Jake. I don't know what you said.
Jake?
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
I think.
Can you repeat it?
You better know. I said because we wanted to and it fit our characters.
Yeah, but did Nabris just go, hey, you should totally do this?
He offered them a greater place. He promised them first a reward, and then, when they had agreed, he offered them the task they had to do. And they certainly also agreed to that.
We were offered immediate devilhood, getting to skip the lower phases and immediately rise the ranks. We got to become council better of Hell. And, for our characters, it worked. I mean, it matched what we wanted to do. As Azurius, once the princess was dead, his plans were over. He had nothing to do other than sink the continent. He would have been without purpose.
I think it's kind of sad because the only reason I joined you two is because I didn't want to join the
dead team.
No, not the dead team. More, I didn't want to join the tyrant and become undead.
Yes.
But Manika said, "Oh, you didn't have to do that. You could just have killed the dead." I was like, "Oh, son of a bitch!" I was like, "I should have joined Zacharias."
See, Zacharias
You should have
and
given me more options.
It would have been very hard, and I don't think after the final battle that you were ready for 2 more. But if you had done it, then you had done it, and then you would have been
maybe
home free. Do whatever the fuck you want.
Maybe with the tyrant on our side, fighting alongside of
Nabris
us.
is the devil who really cared about your contracts, and if he was killed, it would take a long time before someone else picked them up and said, "Oh, I think there's something here."
Should have
So
fucking
you're
killed
won
Nabris.
yourself
You
centuries.
should have
to-
given me more options that
what
didn't
you
involve
wanted
me
to.
being undead.
You see, I kind of poured on this because I knew for a fact you were kind of afraid of the undead
No, I
thing.
think that the epilogues we had were pretty awesome, everything considered. And I think everyone got something that they wanted.
Oh, by the way, Jonas,
Yes.
I'm so glad I'm not a cleric now, or else I would have gone insane after what you did.
Well, even Oracle's got a little bit of a hit from that stuff.
Yeah, as a level 20 outsider, I'm probably okay as well.
You're probably okay.
Probably, yeah.
Probably okay.
I may have to re-recruit my organization again, but
That's why my organization
Tell me
was the
about
best,
it.
even though I called them annoying and I yelled at them a lot, at least none of them ever died.
Well, a few got killed.
Only a few in the horn.
Also, when they
Oh,
began
yeah.
to raid brothels, you were very upset.
Yeah, I was very upset because
Your prostitutes
I've
were...
never said anything bad about Foreign, and he's just like, you know what, I'm gonna go after her even though he's never said anything bad. I was so ready to join him.
But he knew you were going to kill him.
I didn't want to kill him. I liked him so much.
No, you did, though.
Yeah, but I
You
didn't.
knew all along that you would.
Yeah, but Cash only goes so far with something if she knows she's not gonna die for him. She just liked him better.
It's the paranoia of power. Feeling that Asmodeus suddenly has other favorites. Look at all they can do. They have this favor. Well, then they must be plotting to kill him and replace him. And sure enough, they were.
So if
You'd heard the whispers, well, we only have to listen to Thorn for so long, and such.
So if one of us had when Theodora arrived, if some of us had grabbed the whole of Theodora and gone with her, would we have been killed?
Most likely, yeah.
That son of a bitch.
Of course. That was.
Could not
it was,
trust you. You're
was
too
an
powerful.
obvious trap.
Well, I kind of thought, why do we trust Desert? Whatever he says is gold. Is it because he's so charming?
Because
The
Dester
hope
was
was
not
suddenly to
Thorn,
set
right?
Desita up as a bit of a risk. Making the choice super obvious would not have been as interesting.
But what about the second time we met him at the Horn?
It was still, you would have been teleported into a room where he, the dragons, Gregory, and Theodora, and the Nine Sisters would have stood around you. Would have prepared basically what happened to the Silver Dragon in the North.
That son of a bitch. Okay, fine. I don't mind now that we killed him. I liked him so much.
Now,
He
Cash
was,
doesn't know this.
he was I.
Yeah,
But
you do.
he was such a cool master, and I'm sorry, but I liked him better as the what's it called?
Cardinal?
The Cardinal, yeah, because the Surys became so power hungry and wanted to put everything in hell. That just sucks.
Hey, you know, Team
should've
Zacharias
giv-
over here.
You should have given me more option than becoming undead. I don't want to be undead.
What if we just kill everyone, Cash?
Yeah, like that's the solution, right? Kill everyone,
Well, if
and then it
if
sorts
you had,
itself out.
you know what?
Everything is possible to solve if you just have enough murderous rage in your heart.
Yeah.
You
The
know,
question
that's-
is, of course, who made Thorn so paranoid? Perhaps it was Desita who
I bet
came
it
to him
was.
and told him about all the things that you were plotting, and said, "Well, my Lord Thorn, they are plotting. They surely have something planned. Now, look at these plans I found. I read the mind of Zacharias here. You can see the images. Look how he planned to plot against you. You
So
must strike now.
so did he do that?
Great Lord.
You don't know, or is it-
That's up to you. to some
Oh.
degree.
Well,
There's no right answer. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. How much of a rat bastard was he really?
I mean, he
some
was a
would
devil.
some would like to think that he did, because it makes sense. Some would like to think that he didn't. And I think, if I can keep a few mysteries.
Yeah.
well, you should have whispered better goodies in Cash's ear instead of on death and all that. Then she would have joined Zacharias against the devil worshippers. But then Trick would probably had gone against her as well, which would have sucked.
Trick, during the night, kill Cash.
I think if the tyrant had been less direct to Chiron, instead of saying, "Yeah, I'll do what you need. Sure, just bring me the body." If he had been like slightly more like, I can do that for you, but it's going to be complicated, and you will need to help me, then eventually Chiron would have actually properly joined him, because just the tyrant offering him everything he ever wanted seemed just too easy.
Yeah,
Oh.
certainly was. The tyrant would have eaten your soul in a gem, eaten Chargamon's soul in a gem, animated both of you as his undead slaves, and he would have had a great time doing it.
That is
He
exactly
would
what I
have had
expected.
two dragon slaves, pretty big ones, and two awesome souls to devour whenever he needed a great boost of power. And yeah,
You know what?
he's an absolute chaotic evil asshole. He does not give a fuck about anything.
We should just have killed everyone.
He told you the first time you met that you could not trust him, that any word he says is and probably will always be complete and utter falsehood. I guess that came back to bite him in the end. Although he still got what he wanted. To some degree.
It was so gross, though.
Yeah.
He was always one step ahead of us.
It would have been cool if we have killed
Ahead.
both Nabris and...
God damn it. I will reach back there and slap you, sheep.
Oh no, you actually can help.
Turn on the camera. We need to watch.
I kind of wish we had killed both of them.
You were very close, though, to doing it. And he certainly would have helped you try to convince the others to... If you joined him, that's one of the first things he'd ask you to do. Go kill Chagamon. Get me his body. Well, go knock him out. Get me the body. I'll take care of the rest. He's sure that the rest of you understood that Chiron could not be trusted. And really, at that point, you were thrown in with him. What were you going to do? Not like the undead body of Chagamon?
Zacharias like the tyrant.
I
They were,
do.
they were friends.
Well, you got to hang out with him,
Yeah. We went on a journey.
Totally cool. Yeah. But body liches.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't angry at you.
No, not really. He was more like, that was unfortunate. And Zacharias was like, yeah, everything of that sucked.
At least you didn't put me in a planar-locked prison for hundreds of years.
Well,
Happened to my last family reunion.
And Zacharias was like, maybe we destroyed Tallingar, but at least we opened up the underground pretty much. And he was like, yeah, well, let's go down there and take a look. And he was like, all right, let's go.
The tyrant owes me then.
I don't think he sees
You
it
also
that
broke
way.
his tablets, so
Yeah.
curious about that.
I guess we're even.
Dude,
If you were a
it
kid, then you could have summoned a horde of, I think, a few hundred, like 666 or something like that. Some sort of like weird eldritch monstrosities to help you in the battle
Oh, that would have been so good.
under your
Like
command.
elder things or something, yes. Oh.
Sorry, I did not want elder gods.
Mass eyes, masses of
I like all of this.
It was
Gooks,
so
yes.
You
gross.
see why I had to take him
though.
away from you, don't you, Jonas?
It was gross.
yeah, it was gross. That is generally the gross and crazy is generally what you find down
His
there.
brother and sister having the dance with no pants. That's what the tyrant is into.
See.
I guess he read Game of Thrones.
I think this is the kind of creature it would have been some good load of. Well, I follow the picture, sort of a goog
Oh, that's a great thing. Look at
mouth, head mouth thing,
Head mouth
many
thing.
eyes around it.
Haven't we met
Monkey
that?
creature.
Ew. Well, that's gonna be in my nightmare.
Ah, give us a kiss.
Eldritch horror being, yeah.
So, Sheep, when Jonas does stuff like that, how does he look?
I mean, I can only see him from the back right now.
Does he throw his head back
I
and begin
imagine he
cackling
pretty
as
much
soon as he mutes
looks
himself?
like this thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, I must commend you on your job with combining the symbol of Chiliax and Taldor.
That was a fun job for me to do. Yeah, as Najee named it, Taliax,
Taliax, yeah.
the newly formed nation.
I
Pretty big.
I
You know
didn't
what?
see because the power went out, but if there were any specific questions about Zacharias' epilogue, you can certainly put them in the chat, and I'll see what I can answer.
I think we'll open up for questions for the chat now, if people have any.
I will say, personally, Jonas,
Like
you
them.
had the longest duration of an epilogue.
I had a question.
I had
though.
maybe.
Because your one went several hundred years. Mine went like Mine like went 100 years.
Player questions get to go first, but if people have any, for the players, or for me, for anybody really,
Now is the time.
yeah, now is the eternal time, because now everything is open, and this is the last time. After this, we'll never talk about it again.
We'll never talk again, period.
We're out. We're out.
Mute. Vow of silence.
How
We're going monk.
What the hell was it I wanted to
how many
ask?
So
relatives?
whenever people in chat have a question, you should read it aloud.
Yeah, I'm about to.
Sure.
How many relatives are there floating about in Zacharias' demiplane? You know, Zacharias, being the guardian spirit over his family line, is certainly something he enjoys in his own little wicked way. You know, he checks in on them like every decade or so. You know, taking a peek in, see what they're doing. It probably is longer as time goes by because he loses track of time. You know, if you're deathless and ageless, what is a few hundred years? You know, you barely even notice them at some point. But every so often he will start his whispering tutorings and whisk away promising students. Exactly how many survive is not it's not easy to say, but I mean, a millennia or so from now, there will probably be a decent chunk of like these like undead relatives of Zacharias working for him in the plane. Mostly he will probably turn to skeletal mages or some such.
You're terrible.
I'm a lich.
I think that also answers Melon's first question, but the Melon's second question. What about Theodora? Well, Theodora is still a devil, still a handmaiden devil, and she works with Asurius and Marcus as they need to.
I guess she'd be working quite well in my plotting department, slowly wrapping the. Possibly
Yes.
she might have been the one helping me wrap fingers around the Chilaxian queen, who then, of course, joined hands with Caldor to form Taliax.
Yes.
Oh, now I remembered.
God, the romance happened there. That's pretty good.
Well, Vandemir. Cash went and talked to him, and he's in Chiliax, which surprised me. And Cash was like, "What the hell? You're supposed to help us." And he's like, "I did. I sent that freaking princess to you, and you killed her." Well, oops.
Yeah, it was sorry.
And you know what? At that
So you had to
time,
deal with the shit aftermath of that, which was not
yeah,
great.
he's
It's-
still dealing with that shit because it was his suggestion.
It's
Oh,
it is
dear.
true that Zacharias has got Theodora's true name. He has certainly that memorized, and maybe down the eternities he will use that for his own devices.
You occasionally get a message from Azurius like, "Hey, she was doing something for me."
And to spite her and also to play a bit with her, because he's certainly he can be petty in that regard and pay her back for the insults she had him suffer when she was powerful and he was not. So he will definitely torment Theodora during the centuries and millennia, definitely.
Well, torture her a little extra from me because she, I think she was a little jealous.
She didn't get her head eaten by an ogre. So.
No, but she acted a little. She tried to get Cash to. She tried to get Cash angry. And she kept going, "Oh, maybe I'll just. If you die, I'm just gonna go and take your precious trick."